Members, good afternoon. I call to order the meeting of the House Committee of the 8th Legislative Council. This is the first meeting. Item 1. Legal Services Division reports on subsidiary legislation. The House Committee will go through 13 items of subsidiary legislation. 1. Subsidiary legislation gazetted between the 3rd of October and the 31st of December 2025. Paper number LS1/2025. This report covers 7 items of subsidiary legislation. I will ask the legal advisor to briefly go through the items, and then I will ask members if there is a need to set up a subcommittee to scrutinize the relevant items. By then, we can vote by a show of hands. Let me remind members that according to the House rules, if there are fewer than 3 members who have indicated the wish to join a subcommittee, then the subcommittee will not be set up. Legal advisor. Yes, the first report covers 7 items of subsidiary legislation, and I will report them to members in groups. The first one is LN 204 of 2025. The notice seeks to amend the rate of interest payable on tax reserve certificates. For the certificates issued on or after the 1st of October 2025, the rate will be lowered to 0.2583%. The LSD has not found any drafting issues, and that's all for LN 204. All right, members, do we need to set up a subcommittee to scrutinize the subsidiary legislation that the legal advisor just introduced to us? A show of hands, please. No? Then please go on. Next. LN 211 of 2025. This notice seeks to amend pharmacy and poisons regulations to add 7 substances to the relevant parts of schedules, to the effect that these substances are subject to restrictions with respect of their sale, supply, labeling, and storage under the Pharmacy and Poisons Ordinance. The notice came into operation on the date of gazetted, that's the 17th of October. The LSD has not found any drafting issue. That's all from me for LN 211. Right, members, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to examine the subsidiary legislation that the legal advisor just went through with us? If so, please raise your hand. No? All right. I'd like to remind members that for these 2 items of subsidiary legislation, the deadline for amendment is the council meeting of the 21st of January. Legal advisor, please. Next, LN 217 of 2025. This notice relates to certain provisions of the Declaration on the or the Convention on the Establishment of the International Organization Mediation have the force of law in Hong Kong. It also provides privileges and immunities for the IOMED and the officials concerned. The notice came into operation on the 29th of August. The LSD made inquiries with the administration, and the administration already clarified the relevant matters. For details, please refer to paragraph 4 of LS 84/2025. The LSD has not identified any drafting issues. That's all for LN 217. Right, members, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to examine the subsidiary legislation the legal advisor just went through with us? If so, please raise your hands. None. Right, next, LN 218 of 2025. This notice seeks to amend Schedule 5 of Cap 625, the Electronic Health Record or Health System Ordinance, to reflect the renaming of the Supplementary Medical Professions Council to the Allied Health Professions Council. No drafting issue has been identified. That's all from me, Chair, for LN 218. Right, members, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to examine the legal notice that the legal advisor just introduced? If so, please raise your hands. None. Right, please go on. Legal advisor. Next, LN 219 of 2025. This notice seeks to further amend the rates of interest payable on tax reserve certificates issued on or after January 5th, 2026. It will be further lowered from 0.2583% to 0.2417% per annum. No drafting issue has been identified. That's all from me. Thank you. So, members, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to study the subsidiary legislation the legal advisor just introduced? Right, none. Let me remind members that for the 3 items of subsidiary legislation above, the deadline for amendment is a council meeting of the 4th of February. Please go on, legal advisor. 2 last items covered in this report, and that's LN 215 and 216. I will report to members on both items. These 2 notices seek to amend United Nations Sanctions Democratic Republic of the Congo Regulation 29 regulation, as well as UN Sanctions Central African Republic Regulation, so as to implement resolutions of the UN Security Council on the renewal of certain sanctions against the Democratic Republic of Congo and Central African Republic. These 2 notices came into operation at the date of gazetted on the 21st of November. And according to the established practice, these 2 notices are not required to be tabled in the legislature and not subject to amendment. Still, the House Committee has the right to decide whether to set up a subcommittee to study these 2 notices. No drafting issues have been identified. That's all from me for LN 215 and 216. Right, again, members, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to examine these 2 items of subsidiary legislation? If so, please raise your hand. None. Right. So we go on to the next one, and that is subsidiary legislation gazetted on the 9th of January 2026. That's paper number LS2/2025, covering 2 items of subsidiary legislation. Right, there are 6 items of subsidiary legislation to give effect to the support measures for SMEs as announced by the Chief Executive in last year's policy address. These are items relating to the slashing of fees. The concessionary period spans from the 15th of January to 14th of January next year. I'm going to report these notices to members. The first one, LN1, relates to concession on liquor license fees. It came into effect yesterday, the 15th of January, and it will last for 1 year. We have not identified any drafting issue. So much from me. Right, members, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to study the subsidiary legislation that the legal advisor just introduced to us? None. Right, legal advisor, please go on. Next, legal notices 2 and 3. LN2 seeks to provide fee waiver for fish culture licenses. LN3 seeks to slash the fee for renewing the license for keeping livestock by 1/3 of the total. These 2 notices came into operation yesterday. We have not identified any drafting issue. That's all I'd like to say on these 2 items. Right, is there a need to set up a subcommittee to examine these 2 items of subsidiary legislation? If so, please raise your hands. No, none. Right, please go on. Legal advisor. 3 more items of subsidiary legislation. These are the last group. For LN4, LN6, it seeks to they seek to reduce the sewage charge and the water charges by 50% for non-domestic purposes, subject to a cap of $5,000 and $10,000 respectively. LN5 seeks to reduce the trade effluent surcharge by 50%. These notices came into operation yesterday, the 15th. We made inquiries with the administration, and the reply can be found in paragraph 14 of the report. We have no further views. The LSD has not identified any drafting issue. That's all from me for LNs 4 to 6. Members, is there a need to set up subcommittees to look into the 3 items that the legal advisor just went through with us? If so, please raise your hands. None. Let me remind members that in relation to the 6 items of subsidiary legislation, deadline for amendment is a council meeting of the 4th of February. On to the next item, business for the council meeting of 21st of January 2026. The latest agenda is now available, including questions and 2 members' motions with no legislative effect, and that's implementing elderly housing policy to be moved by Mr. Andrew LAM, and formulating a development vision for the HKSAR to actively dovetail with the National 15th Five-Year Plan to be moved by Mr. Erik YIM. Apart from these items, the report of the House Committee on Consideration of Subsidiary Legislation and Other Instruments, that's report number 1/2026, will also be tabled. The 2 items of subsidiary legislation with a amendment period expiring on the date of the council meeting are set out in the report, and no member has indicated their wish to speak on them. Next, business for the council meeting of the 28th of January 2026. 1. Questions. The list of members allocated with question slots was already issued to members earlier. B. Government bill, first reading and second reading. Debate to be adjourned. The Secretariat has not received any notice. C. Government motion. Likewise, we have not received any notice. D. Members' motion. Mr. Dominic Lee will move a motion on enhancing the transport network and community facilities at Pak Shek Kok. 2. Mr. Adrian Ho will move a motion on facilitating land-based cross-boundary transport. Wording of the motion can be found on LegCo's website. Now, members, if you want to move an amendment, please do so before the deadline, and that's Wednesday, the 21st of January. 4th item, proposal to form a subcommittee under the House Committee to study issues relating to members' remuneration and operating expenses reimbursement. Paper number HRA 1/2026. The paper invites members to consider 2 points. First, that a subcommittee be set up under the House Committee to study issues relating to members' remuneration and operating expenses reimbursement. Please note that since the second LegCo, a subcommittee has been formed under HC in each LegCo term, with the period spanning across the whole term of LegCo. The purpose is to review the remuneration package and expenses reimbursement arrangements for members at the start of a new LegCo term. The second proposal is to streamline the relevant procedures, and that means, subject to members' approval, from the 9th LegCo, the practice of seeking House Committee's approval for setting up the committee at the beginning of the term will be dispensed with. In other words, this subcommittee will be set up automatically at the beginning of each term unless otherwise decided. I'd like to ask members if you agree to the 2 proposals as stated in the paper. All right, thank you. Members, please note that this subcommittee will comprise not fewer than 3 members and not more than 15 members. The Secretariat will issue a notice later today to invite members to join the subcommittee. Item 5. Proposal from Dr. Stanley Ng for setting up a subcommittee on Hong Kong's work to actively dovetail with the National 15th Five-Year Plan under the House Committee. Paper number CB-2 34/2026-01. Mr. Stanley Ng wrote to the House Committee on the 13th of January to recommend the setting up of such a subcommittee under the HC, seconded by 19 members. The terms of reference, work plan, and timetable are set out in the letter from Mr. Ng. I'd like to explain to members, before I ask Mr. Ng to go through his proposal, some basic principles. In accordance with paragraph 20J2 and 3 of House Rules, the House Committee may appoint a subcommittee to assist the committee's consideration of an item of subsidiary legislation that falls outside the purview of panels and straddles the purview of a number of panels, or any matter relating to the business of the Council. Next, according to paragraph 22S and T of the House Rules, a panel may also appoint a subcommittee to study specific issues. Two panels may also form joint subcommittees to study any matter of common interest to the panels. C. If a member wishes to follow up on a certain policy issue which clearly falls within the purview of the terms of reference of a particular panel, then members should give priority to the subcommittee being set up under the panel for following up. The relevant panel may also arrange for discussion at the regular meetings or special meetings. According to 20K and 22U of the House Rules, the relevant terms of reference of the subcommittee should be issue-specific or project-specific, and that work should be completed within 12 months of its establishment. That's according to 26C of the House Rules. And also 26A of the House Rules stipulates that only up to 10 subcommittees on policy issues may be in operation at one time. Right. I will now invite Mr. Stanley Yim to go through his proposal for us.
Thank you, Chairman. The 15th five-year plan is the blueprint for the development of the country for the next 5 years. It also outlines the directions for Hong Kong's integration into the country. The Legislative Council is an important part of the governance structure of the Special Administrative Region. We should actively try to support and work with the government to make sure we are fully aligning with the plan, so that Hong Kong can be better integrated into the country and make contributions to the country in doing so. I therefore suggest a subcommittee be set up on Hong Kong's work to actively dovetail with the National 15th Five-Year Plan to take forward such work. This proposal is seconded by many members. I hope that the chairman and other members can support my proposal. Thank you, Mr. Yim. Thank you. I can see that 6 members have pressed the request to speak button. You should focus on in your speech whether you support the setting up of the subcommittee. Mr. Lee Chen-Kung. Thank you, Chair. The country just announced the 15th National Five-Year Plan, and this will be the first year of the plan. In the coming legislative term, we really need to try to actively dovetail with the plan in our work. So I thank Mr. Stanley Yim for proposing to set up the subcommittee. And I would say many of the members would want to join. Can we relax the quota for membership so that we can have more who can join the subcommittee? Or can we divide up the work into different smaller groups? Thank you. Chair, I heard what you said, Mr. Lee, but we need to follow the rules of procedure and House rules. Thank you. Right. Mr. Kenneth Falk, I believe all of us support this very important initiative, and in fact, 3 other members of G19 and I also seconded a proposal. Mr. Erik YIM on next Wednesday will have a motion related to this issue. I believe with the setting up of the subcommittee, we can have a more detailed work plan along with the contents of the debate of next week. And I did see in the proposed terms of reference proposed by Mr. Stanley, it talked about having an international cultural center that is East meets West, and that is exactly what I've been promoting, I can see that there are many topics covered under terms of reference. I think 1 year may not be enough for us to discuss everything. So can we perhaps extend the term of the subcommittee? Actually, after 12 months, the subcommittee will give a report to the House Committee, and we can consider the different options when the time comes. Thank you. Mr. Michael I very much support the setting up of the subcommittee. We really need to find our positioning under the 15th National 5-Year Plan. And we really need to bring integration of education, technology, talents, and finance. We need to make things international while making sure we align with the country's strategy. Thank you. Mr. Alan Chan. I very much support Mr. Stanley Yim's proposal to actively dovetail with the National 15th Five-Year Plan. I think there are several points we can discuss in future. First, we not only have to integrate into the country, we need to serve the country and make contributions to the country. This is just what I would like to remind members of. 2, we also need to think about long-term planning. Before, we don't really have many initiatives that are proposed bottom-up from policy departments. But when proposals are made by LegCo members, as we come from different sectors, we can cover many different policy areas. So I think this is a good thing. On membership, I hope that we can refer to the different backgrounds of members so that the membership won't be skewed towards a particular sector. Thank you. Professor Priscilla Lan. Chairman, Mr. Stanley Yim and I worked together in the last term working in the subcommittee relating to patriotic education under the House Committee. This subcommittee will be very important for this LegCo term, and I express support of Mr. Stanley Yim's proposal. Whether all of us can join, well, I would welcome that, subject to the rules of procedure. We have a very good scope here as proposed by Mr. Stanley Yim, and it would be good if we have a defined scope. And we had good experience in the last term where the government really took on board many views proposed by LegCo members. So I support the proposal. Thank you. Mr. Chen Hakan. Chairman, I do not object to the setting up of the subcommittee, but I would like to say we have limited resources and the Secretariat can only support 10 policy subcommittees. I'm sure we will go on forward with this subcommittee if this is passed. But then for the 9 remaining subcommittees, we may have different ideas from different members. So can there be more coordination among members to see what we will have in relation to the policy subcommittees to ensure a good policy mix? Thank you. I believe another member would also touch on this point. Thank you, Mr. Tang Fei. On the National 15th Five-Year Plan, many of us are paying attention to the economic development issues, but I want to make sure we are taking forward implementation of education issues, and we should discuss such issues under the subcommittee. Thank you. I would hope that Mr. Stanley note this as well. Thank you. Thank you. Considering that many Stanley Yim's proposal has been seconded by multiple members and members in general supported the proposal, I propose that the subcommittee be set up under the House Committee. If members agree, the subcommittee will decide later on when the work is to be commenced. As for other policy subcommittees, since the various panels can only commence work after the chairman and deputy chairman have been elected earliest by late January, in order to give panels equal chance to establish policy subcommittees. I propose that after each panel has held its first regular meeting and discussed its work plan for the coming year, the House Committee will consider as a whole members' proposals for establishing policy subcommittees under the House Committee or panels, as well as the order for these subcommittees to commence work. As you may remember, we would have some forms handed out to members on the priority for policy subcommittees to commence work, and the Secretary will collect feedback from members and decide on what policy subcommittees will come into operation first. Do members agree to the relevant arrangement? Thank you. Agenda item number 6, any other business? There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.